I think like it's becoming public knowledge. Yeah, like public knowledge now that like many athletes are collapsing due to like yeah like many athletes are collapsing like during like the middle of a game, middle of like whatever sport. Yeah, so I think it's becoming like public knowledge now, like how like a lot of athletes are suddenly like collapsing or having issues like related to the heart or like breathing problems. So yeah, and now I think yeah now one former like athlete is calling for an investigation into as to why like many athletes are suddenly like developing these like heart problems or breathing problems. So I'm gonna pull up an article right now, which helps, which will explain it all. So this is an article from News Punch. It says calls mount for official investigation into athletes dropping like flies. So here's a picture of an athlete that I think that collapsed suddenly on the field. So I think these are like I guess the team doctors that are trying to like help him. It says calls are mounting for an official investigation into the large number of athletes mysteriously collapsing with heart problems mid-game. Former England footballer Tissier to urge authorities to launch an investigation on Friday into the spat of athletes collapsing with sudden heart problems, declaring that he's not anti-jabber and just wants more information. Manchester United's Victor Lindelof, Napoli midfielder Piotr Zielinski, and Martin Terrier of French club Rennes were all recently forced to stop mid-game due to severe heart and breathing problems. It's been very concerning for me watching the sport that I love and I played for 17 years. And all that time that I played, I never once saw any footballer leave the pitch because of heart issues, Letitia told GB News. Now, I'm sorry, but if anybody can look at what's happening now in the world of sport and say it's normal for all of these people to be having heart issues in football matches, cricket matches, basketball matches, any sport you wish, these people, the amount of people that are suffering is going through the roof, he warned. And here's a video. I think this is an interview of him talking of, yeah, it's an interview of him like talking about it. So it says it might not be because of the jab, but let's have an investigation to find out what it is. Even saying that deems you to be some kind of anti-jabber, which is absolutely disgusting. Ex-footballer Matt Letitia wonders why footballers are suffering from heart problems. So yeah, there's a video here. I'm gonna play it right now.
It's been very concerning for me, Dan. I've watching the sport that I loved and I played for 17 years, and it's been very concerning to me that in all that time that I played, I never once saw any footballer leave the pitch because of heart issues. Now, I'm sorry, but if if anybody can look at what's happening now in the world of sport and say it's normal for all of these people to be having heart issues in football matches, cricket matches, basketball matches, any sport you wish, these people, the amount of people that are suffering is going through the roof. And I called for an investigation because it might not be to do with the vaccines.
Yeah.
It may not be. But let's have an investigation
Yeah.
to find out what it is. And even saying that deems you to be some kind of anti-vaxxer, which is just absolutely disgusting. I want just some information. I want people to take a look at what is happening in football, have a proper investigation, and give us some answers as to why so many sports people are suffering with heart issues. It's not difficult.
Okay, so that was the end of the video. So yeah, like he was saying how just like yeah, like just like asking for an investigation. Yeah, like he's not even saying it's because of the job, but he's just saying like to find out. So and apparently like just saying like just being like curious as to why or like wanting to know like why like the players are collapsing all of a sudden I guess deems you to be like anti-jab. So yeah, it's just it's crazy like how it seems like nowadays like well yeah it seems like now if you're not like yeah like even just questioning like yeah like even just questioning like whether even just questioning why like um why someone like is yeah like even questioning why like athletes are collapsing all of a sudden like automatically you're presumed to be anti-jab. So yeah it's just crazy like how now how it's like pretty much now like yeah like just like questioning like why someone is having heart problems and all that considers like automatically you're assumed to be anti-jab. So and it says Summit.News reports that Tissier says he's calling for an investigation with the caveat it might not be to do with the jab. It may not be, but let's have an investigation to find out what it is. So yeah, so he's saying that so yeah, like he's saying how it might not like be the jab that's causing like like the athletes to collapse, but apparently like even saying that he's considered to be anti-jab, Letizier. So yeah, it seems like now like yeah like it seems like there's just this one narrative where unless you're in full support of the jabs, then you're automatically assumed to be like anti-jab or against the jab. So yeah, even if you have like been inoculated and like you don't and if you don't yeah like even if you've been inoculated with one of the jabs but you don't support like mandates that are forcing everyone to get the jab, then you're still considered to be like anti-jab despite having like taken one of the jabs yourself. But if you're against mandates, then you're considered to be anti-jab. So yeah, it's just crazy how like yeah, it seems like anything seems like just even like being against like mandate yeah like even being against mandates you're automatically assumed to be anti-jab if even if you've been inoculated. But it seems like even if you have taken one of the jabs but you're against mandates, then you're still considered like to be anti-jab like anti-jabber. So yeah, it's just crazy how anything other than like being in full yeah as I was saying like unless you're in full support of the jabs and you're like automatically assumed to be like anti-jab if you just question or if you just question the effects of the jab or if you're against mandates, then it's like you're automatically considered to be anti-jabber. So yeah it's just like insane. And it says even saying that deems you to be some kind of anti-jabber, which is absolutely disgusting, said Letizier, referring to the treatment of people who dare raise the issue. So as I was saying earlier, just raising the issue of the like of the effects of the jab automatically considers like you're automatically labeled an anti-jabber, which is yeah, it's just insane. And like even if you have been jabbed but you're against mandates, you're still considered anti-jab. So it seems like there's it's like there's almost it's like there's almost no like real definition for what anti-jab like anti-jabber is now. So, and it says, I want just some information. I want people to take a look at what is happening in football, have a proper investigation, give us some answers as to why so many sports people are suffering with heart issues. It's not difficult, he concluded. During a viral podcast with Joe Rogan, which was subsequently censored by YouTube, Dr. Peter McCullough warned that soccer players collapsing could be linked to jab-induced myocarditis. McCullough warned that myocarditis has become at least 50% more common than predicted by U.S. public health experts. However, other health experts have insisted that high-profile football players suddenly collapsing with heart problems in the middle of games is just a coincidence. Coincidence in quotation marks. And it says, Dr. Yafa, according to a report by Dr. Yafa Shiraz, there has been a five-fold increase in sudden cardiac deaths of FIFA players in 2021. As we previously highlighted, when one ex-pro dared to suggest a connection to jabs during a live radio broadcast, he was censored in real time. And I think this is a video. Okay, yeah, the video. And it says, just out of curiosity, at Talk Sport, why did you shut down Trevor Sinclair's question about John Fleck's collapse? Okay, so I'm gonna play the video. See what happens.
At this time. I think everyone wants to know if he's had the COVID vaccine. I don't know. Simon, we can expect at this time. I think everyone wants to know if he's had the COVID vaccine. I don't know.
Okay, so that was the end of the video, and yeah, and the guy was just asking like a question about John Fleck's collapse, and all of a sudden he gets cut off. So it's like, yeah, like, yeah, this whole censorship stuff is another problem too, as seems like anybody who speaks out against the jabs or just questions it, they're like getting censored. So it's like in this case, it was during like a sports panel, something like that. Like, yeah, like it was like during like a sports panel type of discussion. So like the guy ended up getting cut off by whoever it was. So yeah, so it was a live, yeah, it was a radio broadcast. So yeah, like this whole censorship thing is another problem too, as it's becoming like normalized now, especially with these big tech companies like YouTube and like YouTube that are engaging in this whole censorship stuff. So it seems like even YouTube, they just want like to push one point of view, I guess. So in regards to the job, so it's like if someone's yeah, as I was saying, like this whole censorship stuff seems to be, yeah, it seems like it's becoming normalized now, as as like an example in this video, like it was a live radio broadcast where like one of the guys asking about like why John Fleck's collapse, like he ended up like getting censored or cut off. So yeah, like this whole censorship thing, it's also like happening on like these big tech platforms too, like YouTube, or they're just like yeah, censoring like people who speak out against the jabs, or like who question, or even just like question like the effects of the jab. Like you, yeah, like I know like these big tech platforms like YouTube are just like censoring them, as I guess they're not, yeah, I guess they're not pushing like the narrative that YouTube wants. So yeah, like I guess YouTube, they're only interested in one, pushing like one like narrative about the jabs. So they'll just shut down, yeah, like they'll censor or shut down anyone else that doesn't push the same like narrative on the jabs, which is like that they're good, that like they're good, that they protect you and all that, which, you know, is not true. So yeah, like this whole censorship stuff is a problem as well. So yeah, so that's the end of the video. So I can close that now. So yeah, now like a former like footballer or former athlete is now calling for an investigation into as to why like athletes are suddenly collapsing during games. So yeah, I think it's getting to the point now where it's hard to ignore it, because it's a lot of like, I guess the list is just getting longer with when it comes to like number of athletes collapsing or having like breathing problems and all that. So I think it's getting to the point now where like I guess even, yeah, like it's getting to the point now where it's hard to just like ignore it. And like now in this case, like in the article I just showed, like the article I showed earlier, like a former athlete is beginning to raise questions as to why like other like current athletes are suddenly collapsing on the field. So in the yeah, in the mainstream media, they're not like talking about these issues, as I guess like it doesn't go with their narrative. So yeah, and I'm sure like, and now that like athletes are beginning to suffer yeah, like now that athletes are beginning to suffer like all these heart problems, I think maybe now people will start like waking up as to like to like what the jabs cause, as to like the adverse effects of the jabs. So okay, yeah, so in some, yeah, like in some nation, yeah, like I know in some countries, like, and yeah, like in Canada, um being double jabbed isn't like considered, being double jabbed is no longer considered to be like fully inoculated, as like they're now pushing for booster shots. So, and like after, yeah, and I think after after all like these after like seeing all these reports of like, you know, of athletes like having developed myocarditis and all that, like I think many people will be like discouraged or dissuaded from getting these booster shots. But um yeah, like I guess it's hard to tell, but yeah, like just, you know, athletes all of a sudden collapsing and like having heart problems and breathing problems, like, you know, that should be like a concern. Yeah, that should concern it. That should like concern a lot of people, as you know, athletes are supposed to be like usually they're supposed to be healthy people, and you know, when it comes to suffering when it comes to like suffering heart issues and all that, that's like the last thing you would expect from an athlete, as they're usually like well fit and healthy and all that. As you know, they constantly keep themselves like, yeah, as they're like, you know, constantly keeping themselves fit and healthy and all that, as they eat healthy foods, and you know they constantly like exercise and all that. So with athletes, you would expect that they would be the last people to like all of a sudden suffer like heart problems and all that. But like but yeah, like I guess but yeah, like it should like yeah, but it should like concern everyone, as you know, and they're also like public figures too. So like yeah, like they're pretty much like yeah, like they're pretty much well known to the public. So yeah, it should concern a lot of people. So um, yeah, so that's everything I want to talk about. I'll be signing off now.